Hi everyone, I'm Jigar Sagar, a serial entrepreneur, strategic investor, and a government advisor. As a part of building my legacy and creating a platform for entrepreneurship, I entered as an investor judge in the hit TV show The Final Pitch Dubai, where I met some amazing people. Today, I have with us two such amazing people that I met at the show, Fardeen and Zainab. Who walked into the show with something called Pani. And let's talk to them more about it. Hi, Fardeen. Hi, Zainab. How are you doing, guys?
Hi, Jigar.
Hi, Jigar. We are doing great. Thank you.
Right. So obviously, I have introduced you as the founders of a company called Pani, which is no longer the case. So do you want to touch on that? What is the company called now?
So the brand now is called Canama. We decided to rebrand it just before our launch, and yeah, now it's called Canama. Yeah.
Right. I mean, listen, as an entrepreneur, I remember when you had walked in, and this was a part of the feedback that I had shared with you, at the show, saying something to do with the direction you were taking and the name you had wasn't necessarily resonating. But at that time, there was a very strong buy-in to the name itself, and all of a sudden, it seems very weak that you just flip. So what happens? Because the world needs to know what an entrepreneur goes through.
Okay. So the name Pani was with me since 2017, and we were so emotionally attached to that name, and so there was just a lot of emotions and ego attached to that name. And when I remember you on the first initial pitch day. Okay, you told me that. You just straight up said, like, you need to change the name. And but we really took it as a, like, a negative thing. But in the end, when we were, like, coming towards the launch, we realized that, it was something that we should have considered a long time ago, because it did not resonate with where we wanted to take the brand. And yeah, so we came up with this name called Canama, and here we are. And thanks to you, in a way, that yeah, we have reached, and we love the name as well.
Right. Okay. So do you think, have you got it right this time?
Yes, hopefully, inshallah.
Okay. So listen, I mean, let's take a step back, all right, and get into knowing you as individuals, knowing you as people. The audience have seen you, or if they have not seen you, they can see you on OSN Plus at the Final Pitch Dubai. But for now, let's talk about who the people are. So why don't you introduce yourself about what's your background and where do you come from?
Okay, I'll go first. As you already mentioned, I'm Zainab, and I come from a marketing background. I've always been a corporate girl. I have worked for marketing agencies more on the paid media side. I worked for Dentsu and Merkel for like around 4 to 5 years, and then around 5 years ago, I moved to Canada for my further studies. And then we decided want to get married, and he had already moved to the UAE. So we got married, and here we are in Dubai today.
Uh, so I'm Fardeen. I'm the CEO and founder of Canama right now. So I
Are you
belong.
founder or are you guys co-founders?
It started with me, and then she came along. So
Okay.
founder, co-founder.
So you founded it before the marriage or after?
Founded as in, it was just an idea, and it was not really materialized or anything. But she's the reason it is what it is right now. So I come from India. I have always been in the family business, like, in the steel sector. It's like more of a B2B transformer side and steel trading and all that. So yeah, I always had a knack for entrepreneurship. Like, always did things my way, even in a family business. Yeah, and here we are.
So you have a family business, you have a marketing background, and you're married to each other. Was this business Canama a sort of settlement of bringing whatever you had together, or was it a genuine need, desire, idea?
I'll take this one. As a corporate person, I personally, like, if you ask me like 3 years ago or even 2 years ago that you would be an entrepreneur, I would simply say no. It's too much effort. But when I discovered this idea on his phone back around 2 to 3 years ago. I saw a picture on his phone, okay? It was made on PixArt like 10 years ago or something. So you can imagine the quality of it. And it was just like a blue color can and it had Pani written on it. That's it. And I kept asking him, what is this? And he kept ignoring me. And one fine day, he told me that, this is his idea and this is the reasoning behind it. And I was like, this is actually a great idea.
It's the reason. Well, what's the reason you gave her?
I, I don't know. I was just not sure of it, that whether, I didn't know what she would think about it or anybody would think about it. It was just with me. And I used to just play around with it. And
I mean, that's probably your lack of confidence in your
Yes.
own abilities, right? But then,
True.
what was the reason why you drew that in the first place?
I think back in 2016, I think I used to always have this inside, like, a feeling that I wanted to do something of my own, and more than fame or fortune, make something impactful. And that's when I had this idea of Pani. Okay, so back then I had this idea to make water in cartons. Okay, back then I had this idea to make water in cartons, but a lot of research and everything, I came to know that cartons have more plastic than a grocery bag, so I realized that, the cartons are not circular, it's not good. So it later went on to aluminum cans, and then I had some friends in Germany. I came to know about a resealable lid, a patented in technology. So I accumulated all of that, and that's when the idea of Pani was born, and then everything came together back then. But I just shelved it because I did not know how to take that leap. I did not know that I could do it until she told me that, you have to pursue this.
But did she just push you to do something, or did she actually give you the know-how, or was it something she did that then you felt comfortable carrying forward?
So when
I want her to.
yeah, sorry.
I think initially it took quite some time, okay? I think for a couple of months, he just didn't even tell me what that picture was. He just scrolled through, he's like, ignore it, it's nothing. I was like, fine. But after a couple of months, I kept asking him, what is this? I want to know. Why is there a picture of a can on your phone? And there were like multiple pictures, like 4 or 5 pictures of cans in different colors, and it's at Pani. So I got curious, obviously, like, what is this? You don't even delete it, you don't even tell me what it is. So today you have to tell me. And one day he was in a good mood and he told me. So I was like, oh my God, that is an amazing idea. And I'm not saying this as his wife, okay? I have known him since we were like 16. He's a person who really likes to think a lot and, think about things. Always, I think he has a knack for creating something impactful. So I have 100% believe in him that he is made for better things than he was doing at that point of time.
But you were in a family business back then.
Yes, I was.
Okay, so listen, like someone who comes from a family business background too, there's always that desire to stand out, do something of their own. And then there's a difference between saying, I wanted to do something of my own. And then there's a difference between saying, I'm going to do this. And this is the idea that I'm going to do. These are two different things,
Yeah.
actually. So which one is it? Is it Pani happened because you wanted to be something on your own, or Pani happened because that was the idea that you really loved
I
and
think
cared about?
Pani happened because ultimately fate wanted us to pursue this path,
But entrepreneurs, leave it to the words called fate, luck, convenience, and things like that. I mean, it just happened. But in reality, it is never something that just happens. It is always something that you drive to make happen. So at that point, you having a picture in there. So from what I'm hearing right now, it looks like you had a vision, you had an idea, and that's probably where most of the entrepreneurs are stuck. They get up to there, and I say most of the entrepreneurs because it's not everyone that then has someone like Zainab actually doing what it takes to become an entrepreneur. So these are wannabe entrepreneurs, and then there's something being an entrepreneur. So I think if I understand the relationship of that history correctly, it's to say that you were someone who could come up with ideas, but not really do something about it. And there's a lot of people who do that and, go down that rabbit hole and make that mistake. only if they could bring their ideas to life, because not everyone's going to have a wife, a partner, a co-founder that's going to see through it, right? That's going to push somebody else. So as an entrepreneur now, Zaid, having come from a corporate background, being married to this gentleman here and uh, seeing that idea come to life, at which point did you say, I'm ready to hang my boots and, focus on this idea? Or were you backing the idea or were you backing him?
I was always backing him and then the idea, because I have 100% believe in him that if he puts his mind into anything he's passionate about, okay, anything, if he enjoys doing, if he's passionate about, he'll do it 100%. Once I pushed him a little bit that, let's pursue this. Let's pursue this. This can make a big of a difference, not just in our lives, but for the planet, for so many other things. And all I did was, push him a little bit. And then he just started working onto it, researching. Since he's from a steel background, okay, we were not very well versed about the water industry, the manufacturing, the government processes. And especially in the UAE, there are so many rules and regulations. We spent almost about 1.5 year thinking and researching how we could actually make this happen. So once he was like, okay, let's do it, I was 100% in. I was like, if you think you're passionate about this and if you're ready to do this, I'm in. Whatever you want me to do, I'll do. I'll help you.
Okay. And at which point did the transition happen for you where instead of, say, being a support or being a help, did you say, I am going to stand beside you and actually be a co founder?
I think it was more from his end since the day one. He was like, I'm not doing this alone. You're doing this with me. And we were hand in hand since then.
Right. So, so founder slash converted into a co-founder, which I think is actually beautiful because one positive trait about a good entrepreneur is that they understand they have gaps, and to bring in and fill that gap, whether it's through employees, whether it's through friends and family, partners, or a co-founder, right? How did you see that working out for the two of you? Because you did mention you've been together from a very young age. You've been with each other from the age of 16, um, evolving into marriage and then evolving into business partners, co-founders. How did you take that? What was going through your mind?
Was very natural, I would say. It did not take a lot of efforts to do that, because when it comes to her, like, we've been not friends but really best friends, like, so our communication is really crystal. We don't have to hide anything or everything. And there were scenarios like that which did not allow us to make any different transition. Like, this was the way. This was like, this was the only option left at one
Why do
point.
you say that? You always had an option to go back to your family business,
Okay,
or you
yeah.
had the option to go back to a corporate life.
Yeah, so that was the case, like, till I would say 2023, okay, 2024, like, after we got married, like, not everything is always like, perfect, okay. Even family businesses have issues of their own, like, so there was a time when our family business was not really, like, really that good as well. So, but it was good for like, a long amount of time. I had a lot of savings. So, but we had to survive on those savings. Like, I've never said this, okay, till the time of final pitch, okay, Jigar. When we applied for the final pitch, I think we were down to our last 5,000 dirhams. That was it. I'm being very honest. I've never said this to anybody.
So,
Like,
so what was it that? How did you get introduced to the final pitch? So let's talk about that journey, right? I mean, listen, you had this drawing. There was a can on it. She found it. She got it out of you. Made you guys work hard to do the relevant research and bring, some sort of reality or progress to just not have it as a dream, but take steps towards trying to create a business out of that idea. At which point did you find out about the final pitch to buy?
Okay, so this was when we had, like, made all the strategic partnerships regarding Pani, like, the filling partner, everything was done. And now the only thing what was needed was a cap, like, sort of capital to start the business. And I remember I downloaded LinkedIn, made an account and everything, LinkedIn Premium, tried to reach out to maybe like 500 to 600 people, like, just started, like, I came to know what a pitch deck is, created that, and like everything just like it was all negative. Like nobody really believed in that idea. And one fine day, very honest, I still remember this moment crystal. Okay, I was scrolling through LinkedIn and I see your face, okay? Exactly your face. And it said the final pitch Dubai, like, apply for it. I was like, what is it? And I shared it with her that, this is a TV show, it has happened. Then we researched about it a bit, like, all the previous seasons, everything. And it looked like it couldn't have come in a better moment, I think. And we applied for it. That's how it
And
happened.
down to your last 5,000, applying to raise money, how are you taking at it? Because there's one thing about having faith in, him doing right by whatever passion he has and his passion projects. But money matters.
100%.
You have to run a household.
100%.
How are you
And
at that point?
and the thing about him is I love him so much because he always puts me first. Even if we're down to our last 5,000 and if I want something, he'll give it to me. He'll make sure I have it. He works really hard, and God has proven to me on multiple times, just I got you married to him, just believe in him, just believe in me, keep your trust in him, and everything will work out. So he told me later that, after trying so much to make Pani happen, reaching out to so many venture capitalists, and you already know being one, that, they want to see some kind of traction before investing any amount of money into someone. So,
That's a bit of an unfortunate thing, I would say, where UAE Dubai still needs to evolve a little bit more, because I think while we have great access to capital out here for established businesses, um, it's still probably in a very early stage where you will find very few people who are interested in the idea stage or the early stage investments pre-seed, and that's, I think, so sort of a gap in the market, and that's probably why. But then there's also that element where you're learning how to pitch, but then you could have burned some really good opportunities slash leads of raising that funds because you were not prepared.
True.
Right. So what would you have done differently when you had gone to raise the money, now knowing what you know? This was even before after the show.
Uh, I think before even getting money, I think I would have validated my idea with customers. I think, like, even if you have a product, like, there are so many opportunities and there are so many tools at your disposal nowadays that you can actually, like, build a website or, like, start a wait list so that you can at least generate some interest. Like, I think that I would have I think I should have done it. But whatever happens for a reason. And yeah, that's one thing that I learned, that it's a very big thing that you have. I know we both believed in this idea, but we needed a lot of belief to make it
So you would
transform.
say that having validated your idea to an extent would be something you would have done before you started raising money with anyone.
Yes, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. What about you? What would you have done differently?
stop being a little egoistic. I think, as you know, we've changed the design of our can now. We've changed the name for the good, obviously. But before, I feel, just because we felt like it was our baby, we worked so hard on it right from the start. We were a little egoistic to let the wrong things go. If we would have done it sooner, maybe there would be more chances. But at the end of the day, what happens is for the best. We got to
I mean, listen,
learn.
that's probably the right way, that, whatever happened, then you learn from it and you move on. But then I think it's also the lesson learned that while you're launching a business, you are so emotionally attached to it. And the words you use are baby, right?
Yeah.
You get so emotionally attached to something that you're creating. So I think the lesson out here is that as entrepreneurs, you have to be able to differentiate between what's the attachment and what's actually right for the business. So to see it different to yourself.
100%.
Right. Okay. So you applied for final pitch. What were the expectations when you got the call that you've been selected? What happened?
It was really, that was a day I remember, like, we received the mail, we received the call, and yeah, I did not know what to expect. It's such a big show. And I knew that they were going to be really good founders, and uh, but the first thing we did, I remember, is research about everyone on the show. Like, we knew about the, investor judges and everything. So we took our time, we started researching about everyone, and yeah, that's when we realized, that this is real, this is happening. I had to pinch myself a lot of times, right? But yeah, it was really ground shattering. I think, it was,
What about you? I mean, where were your emotions at that?
I was confident that if it's meant for us, it'll happen. Also, for a long after applying for a very long period of time, we did not get any response, and I think on the form it was mentioned that the shooting starts around this date, and the date was approaching very soon. So Fardeen was like, I don't think this is happening. We're not gonna get into this. Let's think of other options in life. What we need to do. I was like, I have a good feeling about this. Just wait. Just wait. And I think within 2, 3 days of that conversation, we got an email that, we would like to have a call with you, like a second interview of if we need you on the show and stuff. So we were really excited. And then that happened. And right on the Zoom call, John and Monica informed us that, you're selected for this show and this is when the shooting starts. And that was the moment we were like, we did it.
Right. Okay. It feels like a success, I mean, it's a little different to raising funds at networking events or on LinkedIn. I mean, putting your heart out there, putting your product out there, on a TV show in front of the cameras, adds to the complexity of the task itself. But before you did that and coming together as co-founders, as business partners, was there a clear segregation of roles and responsibilities? Because you have a family business background, you have a marketing background. Was there any segregation, or do you both do everything?
not initially, as I come from a family background. So what is the case with family business is that a person wears every hat. I used to do the logistics, from sales to purchases, everything was managed by one person, and that is what I bought into this enterprise as well, and that was my mistake. Okay, I had to learn it the hard way when, there were clashes between us regarding some things. But like, it was not so late that we realized that, we need to segregate our roles when it comes to brand, the storytelling parts. She's going to take the final calls, she's going to make every decision, and when it comes to operations, when it comes to strategies and everything, that's my part. So yeah, that's we learned it
You're
hard
lucky
way.
that you learned your lesson sooner than later, and you're lucky that from the perspective that you both share an amazing relationship, so you could survive those clashes. But not many partners, even just regular business partners, are fortunate, and I think that's critical. That when you are business partners and you're coming together on the table, you have to be able to segregate roles, responsibilities, authorities from the get go, because as they say, don't mix family and business, don't mix friends and business. But it's usually not about mixing friends or family. It's always about segregation of rights, responsibilities, authority. So today, who does what?
So Fardeen is the visionary. He takes all the business decisions, and I take decisions concerning to what image we want of the brand, the storytelling, what identity we want to set out for Canama. All the operational, the logistics, and all the decision making for Canama goes through Fardeen.
Right. So you decided to be a part of the show. You applied and you got selected. What was going through your brains emotionally when you know you knew you had to come and pitch? Just before that pitch, you had to probably make a pitch, or did you use the same one that you were sharing?
No, I we had to tailor it. So yeah, before the pitch, it was something very new. We had never pitched to somebody, in real at all, and that also in front of a camera and so many cameras. It was very first. It was a mix of emotions, I would say. I was nervous, I was also confident that, yeah, whatever we do, I think it would be good. But I think it was a time when, maybe a week before the pitches, we downloaded something on the TV, and we were doing mock pitches, like, and we did it so many times that we were just confident, like, we used to speak our pitches like very easily. And yeah, so we had to practice a lot, but yeah, it just turned out really good, I think.
And since you were in control of the brand and the imagery, um, do you want to run through for the viewers out here what happened at the first pitch?
So during the final pitch, before the actual initial pitch, which we shot with all of the investor judges, we were lucky enough to have like a mock pitch with a few venture capitalists who would give us an idea of where what we're doing is right, what we're doing is kind of wrong. So we went for that, and it went pretty good, but we did receive some feedback. That is when we realized that a lot of people will give you a lot of feedback about your brand, but what you need to be sure of is this is what I want my brand to be, and stick to that. Because if you keep listening to people, 100 people will tell you 100 different things, and you're just going to be all over the place.
But how does an entrepreneur then differentiate between what advice to take and what not to take? I mean, just because someone is telling you, it's also not fair for not to do it.
100%, 100%. Like we did end up changing the name and the design of the can. So, as entrepreneurs, you need to also be realists. You need to think of what is the best for your brand first, not what you think is the best. What is best for your brand? What is your vision for the brand? How do you want it to scale? How do you want customers to perceive it? When you think of all that put together, I think you will reach the right answer of who you need to listen to and who you don't.
So let's hear it from you, right? What is Canama?
So, according to me, Canama is a premium can water brand. It is the first in the entire GCC to have a resealable lid. So, we're trying to promote sustainable water. It is from the UAE, by the UAE, for the world. And yeah,
So you say sustainability, you say premium. Usually they don't go hand in hand, frankly speaking. And then on the third element to it is it's just water. It's drinking water. When you bring all of this together, was it being done to have a business? Was it being done because you care about saving water? Or was it being done because you saw a gap in the market for premium water and you just wanted to make some money?
I think there are two things, like, whether you are an environmentalist or are you an entrepreneur. So I think we want to save the planet, but we also want to create a business that has value. And I think both of them can go hand in hand, I think.
Sure.
So that's what we are doing, I think.
Okay.
also to answer your question, like if it was just about making money, we could have also easily started a plastic water brand and sold it in bulk. It's the same thing, but we chose the difficult route of trying to create a new segment in the market, because we do actually care about the planet. And in the UAE, there are so many luxury water brands in so many fine dining restaurants, but there's not a single luxury water brand which comes from the UAE.
Right. And, at that point, you were talking about getting that feedback and then not having to necessarily listen to those 100 people who say 100 things. But having made your first pitch, I remember, but maybe you can share what you remember from the feedback you received from the, people on the show.
Um, for starters, okay, the episode is like 30 minutes, but our pitch was about, let's say, 45 minutes itself. And we got like a good 15-minute feedback since we were the first ones to pitch. So it was not really timed that well. And we received a lot of good and brutal feedback.
Sorry to cut you. The most brutal was from you. Okay. And
Fair enough. So what out of that do you remember? Do you remember the noise or do you remember the words?
I know one thing, that you, out of those 15 minutes of feedback, it was you who gave us feedback for 10 minutes, okay, from that 15 minutes. And what it showed us is that you paid the most attention. You just dissected the whole business right in front of us. You knew about the business till the end of the pitch more than we knew about it. And that was something we had never experienced before. Like, and that is how you proved in the finale. Like when we really, like, segregated all the noise and just took the signal that you had given us and made the changes to the branding. Although we could, it was premature for us
So,
to
so
change
you want to
today.
tell the audience what did you come up with? I mean, what was the first pitch? What was that?
Yeah, the first pitch.
And what was the feedback to it?
Yeah, the first. So we had there's a Japanese artist called as Hokusai. We had this amazing painting of his on the can, and
That's the one with the waves.
wave. Yes, yes, yes. And that was the initial can design. Okay, and I remember you telling us, like, asking everyone, does this feel like UAE to you? Everybody said no. We were crying on the inside. Okay, but that's when we realized, like, that yeah, this is right, and that's what we did. Like, we went home, we spoke to our supplier, we called our designer that you had to do something in one day. Okay, we created a beautiful illustration of the skyline of Dubai, the desert, the camel, and we put that up. And although we were not really that prepared to change the name mid show, but
Yeah, because that was the second feedback as well. I was like,
yes,
you had the name Pani, which
Yeah.
was an Indian originated name.
yes,
You had a Japanese design on the can, and you were selling it as a made in UAE product.
yes, yes. I still remember, even on the finale, you told me straight up, change the name. And I don't know, it was really difficult for us to, like, separate us from that name. But in the end, like, we realized that, yeah, this is the step we needed to take if we want to create a global brand that speaks to everyone and anyone. So we changed that. And yeah, it was a success. Like, in the finale, you saw it and you really appreciated that, we took in the advice of yours. And thank you for that.
Okay, so you had the first bit of feedback after your initial pitch, and then you go away. You come back after certain mentoring sessions and the likes, and you did a repitch with a different version of whatever you had learned, or whatever it is you had accepted to evolve into. Um, at that point, did you have any expectations walking into the finale?
Yes, to be very honest, like, when we got a lot of feedback from everyone, like, especially you, that this is supposed to be changed, and whatever we interpreted from those feedbacks, and we knew we changed whatever we could in that short amount of, like, maybe a week's time.
But was it you catering to a potential investor because of which you were changing, or did you believe in that change?
We definitely believed in that. Like, when we saw it from a third person's perspective, like, yeah, a Dubai or an Arab art would really resonate with the region more. And that really makes sense. Like, what are we trying to do? Our three Ps are not even aligning. Like, everything is just all over the place. So we just, in that 1 week's time, we could align one artwork.
So you
Yeah.
obviously were in control of marketing and
Yes.
planning. So I will talk to you about it,
I-
because I'm
I-
assuming you were too emotionally attached to the graphic on the initial can.
I'll just add to it. So, when we got the feedback from you, Sammy, Farah, our initial thought after that was we were quite disappointed, being brutally honest, that, are we doing something wrong? Are the judges being too brutal? Like we said earlier, it's our baby. We will take criticism in different kind of ways, being honest. So, I think for the first 24 hours, we were just, amongst us, we were talking and we were like, what do you think? What's your opinion on it? What do you think about what the investor judges said? And we just kept talking about it. And when we kept talking about it to each other, within 24 hours, in less than 24 hours, we realized, I think, while driving back home at the end of the day, we were like, it does make sense. Like, when you think of it from a third person point of view, from a customer point of view, it makes sense. We are selling a premium water as proudly made in the UAE, but it has Japanese art and it's called Pani. The story isn't aligning. And in today's world, there are so many products out there. More than the product, it's the story that sells. People want something they relate to. People want something they can resonate to. People want something new, most importantly. They're bored. There's so many things out there. They're constantly bored. Like, we don't even watch a reel more than 3 seconds today. So they're always looking for something new. So we kept talking about it and we're like, let's talk to our designer. Let's see what can be done. If it can also be done within 24 hours, because we cannot arrange a designer who knows about our brand in less than 24 hours and make rework our art and then send it to our can maker and print it out and fly it out here. So we did whatever was possible, and we were like, we had already had this discussion. We'll try. If it happens, if everything happens well, this is what is meant for us. And it happened. So we realized it's meant for
Just
us.
one night before the finale, we received the cans. Exactly one night before.
Right. So I mean, now that's destiny, right? You wished for something, but then what people are not realizing is how many phone calls, how many follow-ups, um, must have one made to make sure that that can arrives on time, right? So I think again it goes back to what's the effort that one puts in to make reality happen. Um, Now, as a part of the finale, obviously, you got an order for, the first order came in, and we'll talk about that later. Um, I want to talk a little bit more about that journey and the transition, because till that point, you were on the name Pani. And then something all of a sudden, I got an email from you, I believe,
Yes.
about the change in the name and things like that. Tell me a little bit, what drove it? What happened?
So again, it goes back to our belief that whatever is supposed to happen is happening for a reason, and everything was very smooth. Our suppliers, our water supplier, the can supplier, the lid supplier, compliance side, everything was working out smoothly. Just one thing, we were not getting our label approval for the name Pani, and we tried trademarking it in another region, and it was like, it's such a generic name, it's very difficult to get it trademarked. And if we are trying to build a brand that is supposed to be a world class brand or a global brand, like, you can't have a name which is trademarked in one region and not. So that was one thing, and for a good 1 month we were really praying that, please do something good, please make it happen. And by the end of that month, we were like, thank you for making it happen, because we realized it was not a roadblock or anything, it was a diversion, like, it was for our own good.
So you couldn't get a trademark on the original name, so
Yes.
because of which you decided to change the name,
Uh,
and that's a pivot.
Sorry to cut you. Also, to add, being completely honest, okay, we tried to make versions of it, okay, like pani water, pani can. Like, we tried, like, let's say 7 to 8 versions so that we could trademark it all over the world. And it just didn't work out. Can you imagine 7 to 8 different versions with the word pani? And it just didn't work
I'll
out.
ask you a question here.
Yeah.
If you were thinking about growing a business
Mm-hmm.
and it was meant to be a global business from day one, wouldn't you have thought of a global name from day one?
That's a right question, but as startup founders, you learn as you grow, right? If you
But
were
did you learn as you go that you wanted to now all of a sudden create a global brand, or was that something you knew from day one?
We wanted to create a global brand from the start, but we learned along the way, I think, like, that
That you have that when you go global and when you're trying to be launching with a mindset that this is a global brand. And in today's day and age, I say that to everyone that if you want to have a successful business, you have to have a global mindset from day one. You cannot just build for a niche segment and expect to blow up, right? And go viral. From that perspective, you have to take into account everything. So after the pitch, was there anything else that you realized you were not planning globally?
mm, I think apart from the name,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll- I think the approach towards the business, like, we had this work ethic, like, was not really meant like for a global business. Like, we did not, I think nothing, just our vision for the brand was that we wanted to create a global brand. I think apart from that, nothing else was working that way when it comes to the workings, the compliance part, and like the inner workings, everything. I think we had to change a bit. And coming to the name part, like, a lot of external factors happened, like, the trademark and everything, but it was the seed that you, like, put into our heads, like, on the first initial pitch. That was the moment of inception that, yeah, we had to change the name. at till the end we did not know that this was an option. But just because you put it into our brains that, yeah, you should change the name, we realized that, this can happen. Why not?
So the birth of the brand Canama. Do you want to talk and explain how did you land up at this brand's name?
So I'll start. So like I mentioned earlier, we tried about 7 to 8 different versions, tried trademarking it, and it's a long procedure. Okay, nothing was working out. We tried so many different versions, and we were using words that already exist, like pani, water, can. So we thought, if we're creating a unique brand, which is one of its kind as of now in the UAE, we need a unique name. So we started thinking of made up names. So the literal meaning of Canama is nothing, but it is derived from the word ma, meaning water in Arabic, which is also a word God has used to describe water, ma, and can meaning can in English. So we were just randomly sitting one evening brainstorming what do we do? What do we do? Just 5,000 names later, you're just so your mind is so exhausted, and he's like, "What do you think of the name Canama?" And he like showed it to me on Canva. I remember. I'm like, what does this mean? What? How did you think of it? So he told me what I just said, that ma is the Arabic meaning for water, and can meaning can. A water is in a can. So I made this word up, and I'm like, really? You're lying. Show me your phone. You're lying. You didn't just make this up because it sounds too good to be true. He's like, check my phone. I never Googled anything. I never asked Chat GPT. Nothing. And then we were like, this sounds really good. And we did our mock up versions with the can, and we were like, yeah, this is it. Let's try if it's meant to be. And it got trademarked, and everything started moving again smoothly.
Yeah, but this time we hired an expert. Okay, we know, we learned from our mistake that we cannot start doing everything on our own. So for branding and everything, we hired an expert. So they guided us, through the process, and it got trademarked in one attempt. Just first one, and it got trademarked. And that is what we learned through the journey, that if we want to build a world class brand, a global brand, we should stop acting like, people who are trying to build something in a garage. We should start thinking globally in that on that scale, start hiring experts in their region,
I think it's true when you say that, right? You can build a global brand from a garage, but you need to have a global mindset while you're working in that garage.
true, that is
Now, having been through that journey, what lessons would you like to share? We'll go with you, Fardeen, first. With the audience out there, with the entrepreneurs out there, um, any piece of advice for them from that perspective of launching the business or launching the product and even raising the funds?
Yeah, if we start with one thing, a lot of people have ideas. I think there's only one thing that is needed, is that execution is very important. If you just keep an idea, which I did for since 2017, it would have been just a photo in my gallery till now. But she pushed me and we executed, and here we are. So I think you should, if you believe that your business is meant for good, good for the world, good for you, good for anybody, you should take that leap of faith and just try at least. Trying gets you a very long way.
I hear that so often, anytime I'm out and about and I listen to other podcasts and things like that, but I hear this so frequently coming out, that one critical piece of lesson for everyone out there is you have to do it. You have to do it. You cannot just keep thinking about doing it. You have to actually do it. And only if everyone took that seriously, we would have so many more new businesses and value creations and products out there, whether good or bad, right? I mean, and obviously only the good ones would succeed and move on.
True.
From your perspective, what are the lessons? That from your experiences, what are the lessons you want to share?
Um, I think the most important thing is, if you don't believe in your idea or your business, nobody will. You need to be very confident about your idea. There will be, like I said earlier, there will be a lot of people telling you a lot of things. But if you're sure that, this is going to work,
How does one be sure? it's not what you believe that matters, right? What matters is how do you differentiate between what is sure and what's not sure?
So there comes, I personally feel that, there comes a time as entrepreneurs, you also, one of the most important part is also being realists. So you,
How did you be a realist?
like changing the name, like realizing, leaving your
But that was
ego.
more to do with, things not happening for you because of the name you had and having, you were sort of forced into that decision rather than the other way around. How would you probably like, listen, my way of doing something like this is I'm very data driven from that perspective. So I would probably rely on data to tell me what's real and what's not, or, a survey, a sample, in whatever shape or form.
Yeah.
That's who I am. But in your case, how do you differentiate what's a good advice and what's a bad advice?
I think initially, when before even turning that idea into something concrete, we, like I said earlier, we did our research for about 1.5 year about the market gaps. What is the water market like in the world? We narrowed it down to the UAE. How many canned water brands? What can be done? What cannot be done? The compliance side. What is possible? What is not possible? So when you think of an idea, you cannot be stupid. You have to be realist that this is possible, this will work, there's a gap in the market. You need to do your research very, very, very well. When someone asks you anything about your business, you should know the answer.
Right. Uh, Apart from, being sure of and doing your research right and before coming to market, and doing what you believe in, and bringing putting in that effort to bring your vision to life. I also remember that as this is after the pitch, when you're done your final pitch, I had asked you for a proof of concept was there, and then I'd given you an order. What happened then?
Okay, so the first when we received our first order, okay, that was the piece of traction that everybody has been asking us since a long time. We hadn't launched yet, but we have an order on paper, and I remember
The
like
paper, and you had money in your account.
yes, exactly, and that was
So at this point, you were not left with just $5,000.
yes, that was a lot of money out there, but we still like we had the money for the order, but we still needed like a little more money to get things moving. And but I think the best thing about being an entrepreneur is that you have to work with what you have.
Okay.
I think so. We had that amount of money and we needed double of that amount. So what do? We can't sit and like we can't complain that we don't have the money. We cannot go ahead with the order. What we did was use that piece of traction, that piece of sales, that money in the bank account, go on to another investor, say that we haven't even launched yet, but we look at us. We have an order from such a big entity that also. So yeah, that took us 1 week to raise another amount. And that's how we went forward. Like
So from reaching out to hundreds of people on LinkedIn to having no traction to coming on the final pitch, the buy, where you haven't necessarily walked away with investment, but you walked away with an order. And you say that in 5 days from that point, you were able to raise your first round.
yes, and I'm telling you, we did not even go to meet the investor. We were actually visiting a factory to see that, can this guy be our co-packer? Okay. He's not a co-packer, but he's an investor now. Because he was so impressed that, you guys were on a show, you have money now, like, you got an order. How is that possible? It took us 1 week. He transferred the amount and like, yeah, and that we got an investor like that. So we worked with what we had and it really helped us, like the final pitch, the whole first order, everything.
Listen, I've heard this many a times. It's sometimes just that push. It's sometimes just that one person, what one would say miracle, but I say having that belief that there is a potential to create something beautiful. Having that push can, create miracles sometimes. And it looks like it worked in your favor this time. So yeah, you walked away, and then what?
So yeah, everything changed. Like, like
So the money was in the account. You got an investor. You had an order to be fulfilled.
now it was time to execute things. Now it's really very easy to make things beautiful on a pitch deck, but in real reality, when you go down and when you start doing things, the compliance part, the suppliers, everything. I remember I visited the port last night, just to check everything is having in order. We received our cans and everything. So it's really very different when you just visualize things and when things are happening. And we are so alhamdulillah, we are so blessed that it is happening. It is everything that we asked for. And we are not very busy yet, but we hope to be. Yet.
Um, so obviously your initial business idea was pivoted more towards selling, to premium restaurants, and then there was a bit of a feedback on that side. So who are your potential, or your target customers now?
To start with, we are wanting to partner with institution, be it corporates, be it Horeca, be it any institution which is looking to align on one thing, that is sustainability, something better for the planet, but in style. We don't want to save the planet without style. It has to be cool. So that's where our brand comes in.
So we have, finally, what you're saying is we have a premium water product which is sustainable because it's resealable, and you can take it home. You don't have to check it in the bin. It's not plastic, and it is for corporates because they can have their branding on it.
Yes.
So anyone and everyone who likes to have their corporate brand on
So-
a can of water should reach out to you, right?
Yes, we did not even know that something like this could be done with our brand, but it was you who gave us that first order, and we were like, yeah, we can do co-branded things. There are so many institutions, so many real estate companies, say corporate companies, who wants to have something like this. It's such a great way to ditch plastic and have something cool in your.
Do you have something to show?
Yes, actually we do. So as you were the first person to have faith in us and believe in us, these are the first cans out of the factory. We
Can we have a
also
look?
use. Sure.
All right. So comes in a beautiful packaging. I'm assuming this is just for me. I need to feel special. Okay. Right. All right. There's a handwritten note. Thank you, guys. Okay. And here we are. There you go. That's beautiful, right? You have my home here, Dubai. If you're made in Dubai, be proud of it, right? I'm made in Dubai, so I'm very proud of it. No, this is beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Right. So having done that journey to go from the last 5,000 to getting an order, to getting the first investor on board, to delivering your first product. I'm hoping there's a lot more because I didn't pay for one can. What's next?
Next, I think inshallah we want to see our brand in a coming few years just change the way people see and drink water in the whole GCC and the whole world, I think. And we will do it inshallah, and it'll just be another story, when people want to see how they started, they would scroll back on YouTube and find Jigar Sagar's, Fardeen, Shaikh and Zainab's podcast. This was their first appearance, and we want to be remembered like that, that they believed in something, and with the right partners, with the right people to back them, they made a difference. Inshallah, that's what we aim to do.
Listen, I mean, all said and done, yes, it's a premium product, yet affordable, is sustainable, completely recyclable, including the lids and the
100%.
cap and everything. So there's no mockery over here where something is being called 100% recyclable, but it's not. Having said all that, at the end of the day, what you're doing is also something very critical, which is saving water, right? Bringing water in a way where we all understand that water is the gold from the future, right? Technically, there's only so much of it. And we can't, as a society, continue to waste it. Because what that would mean is our kids and the future generations would have no clean drinking water. Um, so I think you're out on a noble path. And from my side, I would like to, wish you both the best of luck. And I think it's a journey that you have started as entrepreneurs. The ups and downs that you've seen yet are just the beginnings. There's a lot more energy and steam that's going to be required. What is that one thing that makes you want to get up from the bed every morning and do this?
I think for me would be wanting to change how people perceive drinking water. Like, there's sustainable changes to so many things in the world today, right? From clothes to bags, everything that people use on a day to day basis. But water is still a side character. It
Yeah, if you don't
isn't,
think about it,
it
right?
is taken
Water is
seriously.
just something that you drink and you don't even consciously drink it most of the times.
Exactly. And some people, when they're out and about, they're buying like 10 plastic bottles in a day and just discarding them, not even realizing the harm it's causing to our planet. So, we want to provide uh, an option. So, we keep complaining that, there's plastic usage and people are using 10 bottles a day, but we're also not giving them an option to use instead. So we were here to give them that option, that start caring about the planet, and water is the main course. It's not the side dish. So let's start there.
What about you? What makes you get up every morning?
Uh, I think for me it's gratitude. I mean, I'm so thankful, Alhamdulillah, that we got this opportunity, like to pursue our dreams, and we took that leap of faith, and we were backed by such people, and now we are finally living our dream. What we wanted to do, we are actually doing it, and like you said, it's like sort of a noble path, and we want there are businesses that people don't want your business to be you get copied by someone else, but I want every brand to start their own canned water brand, looking at us, and know that we were the ones to start it, because in the end it will create such an impact that it'll just reduce plastic in a way. So that's what we are aiming to do, create like big impact.
So you are a UAE brand. You say you're made in UAE. What's the source of the water? Because apart from having a recyclable can, 100%, which is the first time ever in UAE, is what I've understood. Because you have canned water, but not all components of them are 100% reusable slash recyclable, right? But what about the water within it? Where do you source it from?
So we realized that if we wanted to start a premium canned water company, okay, we could not just be a packaging company, so in the end the outer packaging is just packaging. We had to source good water, and there were two options we had, one was desalinated water and the other was uh, underground water from underground wells. And even though desalinated water is good, there's no problem with it, we wanted to add something premium, something that is natural. So what we did is, we partnered with a company, UAE based company, which they source water from Hamda regions. It's secluded in a desert region, 10 kilometers, no humans, 10 kilometers, so they source water from there, treat it completely, and the mineral composition that we have given them for that taste, so that is put, so the water is also naturally sourced. It has a custom mineral composition, and that's what is put in the water, in the can. So it's purely sourced from the UAE and made in the UAE as well.
Brilliant. I mean, listen, uh, stay hydrated, get your minerals. You're checking all the boxes right now.
Thank you.
Amazing. Um, Thank you, Fardeen. Thank you, Zainab. It's
Thank
been
you.
a pleasure meeting wonderful people like you on the show. And then after the pitch, sitting here on the couch and just having a chat, and seeing your vision come to life. And all I have is a lot of, blessings and wishes for your success.
Thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so
having
much
us.
for having
Jigar.
us,
Really
you guys.
means a lot.
Pleasure. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.